All right, my friends, welcome back to the channel. So, I've been putting a lot of time in this, talking about the calendar, looking at the Zadok, the Enochian, and all the information that you guys have been sending me. Even the Dead Sea Scrolls, which I did not cover in the last two videos that I did on the Zadok. I am looking at that right now, going through all of the fragments because when some of you that I've engaged with, and I said, where is this in the Bible? The response I got was, it's not there. It's in the Dead Sea Scrolls in fragments. And so I am covering that in another video. But what if you are very serious about learning what the calendar is, and you're not just here to see if Jonathan's going to discover the Zadok calendar, but you're very serious about truth and you want to know what the calendar is, I'm going to ask you that in this video, because we're going to take a step back from the Zadok calendar and go from the Exodus to Sinai in the book of Exodus and read some chapters. Because the truth of it is, folks, and I don't know if you know this or not, and maybe you don't, maybe you've never read through the information, but you can actually reconcile the calendar of the Bible using the Bible. And we can do that starting with Passover at the beginning of the year and going all the way to Sinai. If you would please consider what I'm about to show you. Please endure to the end of this video. If you start to get nervous and upset at what I'm reading to you and what I'm showing to you, then we're talking about a spiritual stronghold that's got demons involved. You're in a spiritual battle. And you need to resist the devil and try to endure, what the scriptures actually says. Because I can say this, and I'm being honest with you. All the information that I see with the Zadok calendar comes from places other than the Bible. The only parts that come from the Bible, the only verses that any of you sent me was, things from Ezekiel talking about the sons of Zadok and things like that. Now, to be fair, there's no scholar out there that I can find, and I mean scholar, not some YouTube know-it-all. No scholars will acknowledge that there's any people group called the Zadok God or the sons of Zadok, if you want to use it that way, in the Qumran community. Matter of fact, Qumran was occupied over a 300-year period by many different people groups. One of the last ones to be there were the Essenes. And they were a strongly Torah observant group. Now, it may be possible that this is who they're talking to or who they're referring to, and not somebody called the Zadok God. Okay? This is my observation on this. So we could probably attribute some of these, and we're talking about the priestly order. Okay, some fragments that have the priestly order and some months mentioned on there, where we're supposedly drawing doctrine. And they are fragments, folks. And it's not complete scrolls, which is very concerning, because if we're going to draw doctrine from it, if we're going to learn something from it, we have to have the complete in context scroll. Otherwise, it is very similar to, working on a 1,000-piece puzzle, because a 1,000-piece puzzle, that's about the size of a scroll that we're talking about here. One page of it, one open page of a scroll. And let's say we got 1,000 pieces for this puzzle, but we're only using a handful of those pieces, fragments, to determine what the whole picture is. Folks, I don't know how good you are, but that would be an impossible task, I would believe. I mean, we could speculate, we can draw conclusions, but we cannot draw doctrine from fragments, folks. In my opinion, that's very dangerous. Like I said, it is akin to using a handful puzzle pieces and interpreting what the whole picture is, because each one of these fragments have, very few words on there. I just don't see the logic in doing that. So it doesn't make any sense for us. So let's take a step back and test what I'm about to propose to you. Okay, let's go to Exodus 12, where it all starts. And the reason for this, folks, is dates are given. Days and months are given. Okay, so we have data points that we can start from, that we can start putting the pieces together and understanding. The one thing we need to understand right from the bat, first Passover, Yah makes some declarations. He says it shall be the first month of the year for you. Okay, so first Passover, let's start right here, Exodus 12. And Yah spoke unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this is the month, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month, that they shall take every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house, and for the household to be little for the lamb. Let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb should be without blemish, a male in the first year, and you should take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. So the 14th day is the 14th day of Nisan, and this is Passover day. Okay, so 14th day is very important, because we need to understand that the children of Israel did not leave on the 14th day. The 14th day was Passover. They had to observe it, so they would have remained in their homes all night long till the next day when everything had happened. And we all know that the firstborn dies, right? And it's that next night that they leave, which is the evening of the 15th. And that's really important to understand, because Yah is actually synchronizing the people right here. The very first misconception about the Hebrew agricultural calendar is that it was given to man from Genesis. That is not the case, folks. Yah was giving us a pattern that he would later reveal to us. And we're going to see that here in just a few moments, when the first Sabbath is given to us. It is not given to us at creation, folks. And I understand that the Zadok people glean from what they read in Enoch and from Jubilees, that they believe that man, Yahuwah's people, were keeping the Shabbat from creation, and that's not true. We don't even see that in the Bible with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and we don't see it, folks. It was not given to man until Exodus 16, but we are getting ahead of ourselves right now. I just want you to remember the 14th day of this month, Nisan, Abib, and there's a reason why they call it Abib, because the same month is when your barley is going to be ripening, okay? And the whole is, by the way, this calendar is directly connected to the grain cycle. It is also connected to the sun, moon, and stars. We've established that even with the book of Jubilees, folks. I don't know if you picked up on that and that study, talking about if they neglect to observe the correct way, they would get off. A big point about that, even in the book of Jubilees, we can see that the Hebrew people were observing the sun, moon, and stars. So to say that this observation comes from Babylon is just absurd. You can see even in your own text that you're drawing doctrine from, that the Hebrews, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, they were all keeping a cycle with the sun, moon, and stars, even in your own text. So fast forward to today, where we are coming up on Passover. This is very relevant for right now. We're coming up on the 14th day of Nisan, and it is in the springtime. And there is barley that is ripening, also flax. Okay, this is the time of year for that. The whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. That's on the 14th day. And they shall take the blood of it and stake it on the two side posts and the upper door posts of the house therein. And they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roasted with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden it all with water, but roast it with fire. So it's not supposed to be boiled. Roasted with fire, his head and his legs, and the pertinence thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. And that which remaineth until the morning shall ye burn with fire. So you got to get rid of whatever's left over. And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, for your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and smite all the firstborn. What night? The night of the 14th. And smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, against all the gods of Egypt. I will execute judgment. I am Yah. And the blood shall be for you as a token upon the house where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. And the plague shall not be upon you and destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you a memorial. And ye shall keep it as a feast unto Yah throughout your generations, and ye shall keep it a feast by ordinance forever. 7 days ye shall eat unleavened bread, and the first day shall you put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And in the first day there shall be a holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be a holy convocation. You should do no work thereon. And you know what that is, folks? Because the first day, when we're talking about the 15th through the 22nd, is, we got Sabbaths that are bookending those. Though Yahuwah doesn't point this out right now, he's not actually keeping them. He's getting them synchronized to the calendar, okay? And he's introducing them to his way. You shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for it is the same self day that I brought you your armies out of the land of Egypt. All right, so that is the 15th. It is a high holy day, the 15th. It is a feast, but it is also a Shabbat. That's what it means. In the first month, on the 14th day of that month, at evening, you shall have unleavened bread until 1 and 20th day of the month at evening. That's the 21st day. Guess what's the next day? The 22nd. It is a Shabbat. Eventually, okay? 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your house, for whosoever shall eat it, which is leaven, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel. Whether there be a stranger born in the land, ye shall eat nothing leavened. In all your inhabitations ye shall eat unleavened bread. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take your lamb according to your families and kill the Passover. And take the bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood, and this is in the basin, and strike the lintel on the two sides of the post with the blood, so that it is in the basin, and none of you shall go out of the door of his house until mornings, right? So they're staying until the next morning. This is how we know they didn't leave on the 14th day, folks, during Passover. They waited till the next morning. Egyptians see what the results of that. They're freaking out. Pharaoh says, you guys got to go. And then night comes. That's when they leave. Watch. For Yahuwah will pass through and smite the Egyptians, and when he seeth the blood on the lintel and on the two side posts, Yah will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyed to come into your house and smite you. And ye shall observe this thing in ordinance unto thee and your sons forever. Forever means forever. It's not nailed to the cross with Yeshua. This is forever. Matter of fact, this is all about Yeshua. And it shall come to pass when you become into the land of Yah, will give you according to as he hath promised, ye shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass when your children shall say unto and let me just back up. It says, when you come into the land, right? So even all the way up until to Sinai, and then what happened with the Hebrews, with the giants, all the way up until they went into the land, this was an ordinance when they got into the land. So they're just being introduced to it when they're in the wilderness, folks. There's nobody growing grain and all that for the years that they're in there, okay? You show me anywhere in the world where they're growing wheat and barley in the desert. Okay, so he's introducing all of this to them little by little. Okay, let's go. Let's go here, drop down a little bit. And it came to pass that at midnight, Yah smote the firstborn of the land of Egypt. This is still on the 14th. And from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on the throne of the firstborn of the captive that was in a dungeon, all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up that night and all his servants, that night, the 14th, and all his servants with the Egyptian. There was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house that was not one dead. Now, remember, they were to remain in their house until morning. Now it's morning. Now the Egyptians are freaking out. They see what's going on. It's the next day. Let's establish that. It is the 15th. And on Yah's calendar, it is a Shabbat, but he did not have them keeping it yet. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, rise up. So Pharaoh has called for Moses in Egypt the night of the 15th, which will be the end of Shabbat, and told him to rise up, get out of here. Go forth from my people, both you and your children of Israel, go and serve Yah as he has said. Also take your flocks and your herds, as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also. Now notice that they take their flocks and their herds, but 1 month into the journey, as you're going to see here in just a minute, they're murmuring, they're starving. Why is that? Because back in this time, most of the time they're eating it's forage or vegetables. Animals were only eaten at feast time. Okay, so most of the year they're eating vegetables, most likely. It's very expensive to sacrifice an animal. That's like, and this is why Joseph and Jacob made a big deal about his brothers doing it when they were out in the wilderness, keeping their flocks, and they killed a lamb. This was a big deal. It's not the time to do that. As ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also, right? So they leave. They're out of here on the evening of the 15th. Now let's fast forward, because we're going to go to now. We're not going to read it all, folks. I want to get you to Marah. And I think that's the 15th chapter. Yes. All right. So now they've almost been walking for a month. And by the way, let's look at this trek. So they've left Goshen. And that is where they are, folks. Goshen, which is here in Egypt, down here in the fertile land. They leave there, and according to the Catholics, went in this direction, and right here would be Sinai. And by the way, this is called the Sinai Peninsula right here. This peninsula is called Sinai. That is the consensus for most of Christianity because of Constantine's mother, who believe that St. Catherine's, where they have St. Catherine's, was Sinai. But there's no archaeological evidence nowhere here that makes this so. So the theory is, because we could see the archaeology, that they came across this way to Nueva. The reason we say Nueva is because Solomon erected a pillar here in honor of the crossing, because this is the area where they crossed. However that happened, they crossed over, got to this side, and walked south to the opening of this canyon right here. Folks, if you look at that, these are very high canyon walls. So they came all the way down the coast, more than 600,000 of them, and came in here. How do I know that? Because the Bible tells us. We're going to see that in just a minute. Okay. They came through these canyons. By the way, you can look at Google Earth and pictures of this place where they came to here, which is where the 12 wells and the 70s something trees, date trees are. This is it, Alim, right here. These canyons is what they came through. All right, let's go to the Bible and look. Let's verify that. So we'll start here with 22. And Moses brought Israel from the Red Sea, and they went into the wilderness of Shur, and they went 3 days into the wilderness and found no water, and they came to Marah, and could not drink of the waters of Marah because they were bitter. It was probably a stagnant hole of water. Therefore, the name was called Marah. And the people murmured against Moses, saying, what shall we drink? And he cried unto Yah, and Yah showed him a tree, which he had cast into the water. So the limb he put in the water, and it made the waters drinkable. So they were able to water their animals. They would get something for themselves. And then it says, and he cried, and he said, if thou wilt diligently hearken to the voice of Yah and thy Elohim, and wilt do that which is right in his sight, and will give ear to his commandments and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon thee, which I have brought upon the Egyptians, for I am Yah that healeth thee. And watch what it says here. And they came to Alim, where there were 12 wells of water, and 70 palm trees, and they encamped by these waters. Let's go back. Sorry, I wasn't even showing you. Here's where it says that. Sorry about that. And they came to Alim, where 12 wells of water, and 70 palms, and they encamped there by the water. Where? Alim. Same place I just showed you here. This is Alim. Historically, it's called Palmyra, the grove of palms, I think in Aramaic. But this is known as Alim, even to this day by the Bedouins. And hidden in these trees is 12 wells. If you guys want to go to like Google and look at it a little closer, there's people that have posted pictures from here, like from ground level, and they have shown where the wells are. There's 12 of them in here. So just like the Bible says in Exodus, we find that very spot. Okay, that's important. Now let's look at the journey still to go. As we're going to read, there's still a long way to go, and it's all uphill from here, folks, from the ocean all the way up to Sinai, where we're going over here. So down by the coast, and we're going to be coming through these canyons, all the way up. Well, take that back. We're going to come up through these canyons, and I don't know if they went that way or what way, but they eventually ended up at the rock of Horeb, is where they ended up. Okay, this is where Moses strikes the rock and they get fresh water. Okay, he gave them some water here at Alim. Marah was somewhere on the coast. When they get to Alim, this is when they can get some water. And then they get to the split rock of Horeb, and we can go there and look. This is what it is, you guys. Let's look at it with the 3D. See how it's split? It's a huge plain there. The rock up on top is split down the middle. Okay, this is obviously where they were. There's evidence of a lot of water flowing from this area, in this geographical area. Okay, back to the scripture. Let's go to 16 because this is important. So they're in Alim, and they leave there and they're going to go up into the wilderness, going toward the rock of Horeb, and they're going to come to a place called the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai. And look at what happens on the 15th day of the second month. So it has taken them exactly 1 month to get to this point. And they are arriving this same day that they left Egypt, the evening of the 15th. So when they get there, they're tired, they're starving, and they're complaining. And after they're departing out of the land of Egypt, the whole congregation of children of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness of Sin. And the children of Israel said unto them, keep forgetting to show you the screen. And they took their journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month, after their departing out of the land of Egypt. Took them 1 month. And the whole congregation was murmuring against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said unto them, would to God we have died by the hand of the Adonai in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full. For ye have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill us, this whole assembly, with hunger. Then said Yah unto Moses, behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I might prove them, whether they will walk in my law or no. So he's going to test them. He is about to give them the work week and the Shabbat, folks. So by Exodus 16, Yah is getting them synchronized to his calendar. Watch what I'm showing you here. Okay, he's giving them the work week by collecting manna. And Moses says, this shall be when Yah shall give you in the evening flesh to eat. That is the evening. The very first one is the evening of the 15th. And in the morning, bread to the full. They're collecting bread on the very first day. Let's look at this on what the calendar actually looks like. Okay, so track with me on this. They got there on the 15th. They're murmuring. Yah says, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give them bread at the evening of the 15th. And then every evening after that, I'm going to give them meat. But during the day, they're going to collect manna. 6 days they're going to do this. And on the seventh day, they're going to, 6 days they're going to do this. And on the sixth day, they're going to collect enough for the seventh day. So let's look at that. So if it's the 15th and the first work day where we're collecting manna is the 16th day of the month. That's because we are observing new moon. And this can be a 1 or 2 day new moon, okay? But that's irrelevant at the moment. We got there on the 15th, our first, and we're eating quails. Our first work day is the 16th. Let's go back. Let's go back to the scripture. Stay with me. And in the morning, bread to the full, for that Yahuwah heareth your murmurings, which you murmured against him. And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against Yah. And Moses spoke unto Aaron and said, say unto all the congregation of Israel, come near before Yah, for he hath heard your murmurings. And by the way, weeks have not passed. We are still in the same day, the same day. It's the 15th. They have not got quail yet, and they have not picked up manna yet. And it came to pass, as Aaron spoke unto the whole congregation, the children of Israel, they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the glory of Yah appeared in the cloud. And Yah spoke unto Moses, saying, so everybody's hearing it. I've heard the murmurings of these of the children of Israel, speaking to them, saying, at evening ye shall eat flesh, and in the morning ye shall be filled with bread, and ye shall know that I am your Elohim. All right. And it came to pass at at the evening, quails came up. What evening? The 15th. That the quails came up and covered the camp, and in the morning the dew lay round about the host. And when the dew was gone up, behold, the face of the whole wilderness, there lay a small round thing, as small as a hoarfrost on the ground. And when the children saw it, they said one to another, it is manna, for they will not what it was. And Moses said unto them, this is the bread from which Yahuwah hath given you to eat. This is the thing that Yahuwah commanded. Gather of it every man according to his eating, and omer for every man according to the number of your persons. Take every man for him that are in his tents. And the children of Israel did so, gathered some more, some less. And when they did met it together, an omer, and gathered much, and he had gathered much, had nothing over, and he had gathered little, had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. And Moses said, let no one leave it till the morning. Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto Moses, but some of them left it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank, and Moses was wroth with them. And they gathered it every morning, every one according to his eating. When the sun waxed hot, it melted. So they have just gone. They're going through the work week. Now, how do I know that? Because look, it's mentioned right here. Incidentally, the Sabbath is observed. First time we see this with the people. And look what verse it is. Verse 22, folks. Why is that important? Well, let's go back to the calendar. So the first day is the 16th. Day one, you see this is the way it's laid out. 6 days of work. Day one is the 16th of the month. Day two is the 17th. 3, 4, 5, 6. We gather twice as much on the 21st, resting on the 22nd. And it's literally laid out for you right there in that pattern, folks. Verse 22, the first Sabbath observed by man. This is not coming from 7 days continuous cycle from creation every Saturday. You don't see no mention of that. This is the first time Yah has doing it, and he's done it from Passover at the solstice, the equinox, brought us to this point. It is the 22nd verse. And it came to pass that on the 6th day that they gathered twice as much as bread, 2 omers for one man. And the rulers of the congregation came to Moses and said unto them, this is that which Yah hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath. What day? The 22nd. Because they did it for 6 days, starting on the first work day of the 16th. 6 days, 7th day is the 22nd. All right. And Yahuwah said unto you, bake that which ye will bake today, and seeth that ye will seeth, and that which remaineth overlay up for you to be kept in the morning. And they laid it up until morning, and Moses bade, and it did not stink, neither was there worm therein. And Moses said, eat that today, for today is the Sabbath. What day? The 22nd is the very first day that they kept Sabbath together as Israel. That's Bible. And not only that, this is Torah. This is coming from the Torah. Not Jubilees, not Enoch, from the Bible. And then it goes on to say, and it came to pass that there went out some of the people on the 7th day to get, so they were working on Shabbat. What day was that? The 22nd. This is simple math, folks. And they found none. And then Yahuwah says, and how long refuse ye to keep my commandments and my laws? He's testing them and seeing right from the bat, they're not keeping. Now I want you to look at this pattern. And folks, you have to stay on the pattern observing the moon. And if you do, the days that are laid out as the Shabbat are in that column that I just showed you from that picture. anytime you see the Shabbat mentioned, for the exception of the 10th day, which is Yom Kippur, when the Bible talks about a Sabbath day, it's going to be in this category right here, one of those numbers. And if it's any one of those numbers, you can count forwards and backwards and figure out what the next sequence number is going to be. And it's always 8, 15, 22, 29, which is the seventh day. It's not the eighth day. It's the eighth day of the month, but it's the seventh day of the first work week. You see that? Day 1 through day 6, because we are holding that new moon day as a special day. It's set apart. If we blow through that, you're going to have extra days at the end. If you don't count them, you'll be missing days. Everybody follow? Okay? But every month, this is what your calendar will look like. Your Shabbat will be the 8, 15, 22, 29. Folks, that's the Bible. That's the Bible. Show me anywhere in the scriptures where it tells you that Sabbath started on a Wednesday from creation and now it's every Saturday. You can't even show me that from the Dead Sea Scrolls. But it's a thing. All right, back to the scripture. All right, so we're going to move on. And the house of Israel called the name thereof manna, and it was like coriander seed, white, and the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. And Moses said, this is the thing that Yah commanded, fill it an omer to be kept for your generations, and they shall see that the bread within I have fed you in the wilderness when I brought you forth from the land of Egypt. And Moses said unto Aaron, take a pot and put an omer of manna therein and lay it up for Yahuwah to be kept for your generations. That's why there's manna in the Ark of the Covenant, as Yah had commanded. And so Aaron laid up the testimony to be kept, and all the children of Israel did eat manna for 40 years. So they did this for 40 years, this cycle, 8, 15, 22, 29. For 40 years. Now let's go ahead. I want you to see something. All right, so this is the water from the rock. After they left the wilderness of sin, they went to Raphadim. I showed you that. This is where they're going to strike the rock at Horeb, right? They fought against the Amalekites. We're blowing right through this because I want you to see something. And then Moses goes and meets with his father-in-law, who is Jethro, the priest of Midian, right? And he speaks with him. All right. Next chapter. They get to Mount Sinai. Now, and here's what I want you to see. In the third month. In the third month. And remember that. We saw just a few chapters back when they got the manna in the first work week and the first Shabbat. What? It was the second month. Now we're into the third month. All right. So consider that. So what does that look like? The third month. Let's take a moment to take a look at that. I want to show you on the combined Gregorian calendar with Yah's calendar. We can see that we start at Nisan here. The first month is the barley harvest and the flax harvest. Passover, unleavened bread, first fruits. Then we have the next month, which is Iyar. All right, so the barley harvest is going on during Iyar. Even though when they were in the wilderness, there's none of this going on. Eventually, this would be the pattern, but Yah was establishing it in the Exodus. So this is where we get to Elim, and then we start moving to the wilderness of sin. Then we come into the third month, where we are now. All right, so this is what it looks like. So we're talking about, so Iyar is going to be about, to the middle of May, and then from the middle of May to the end of May is where Sivan starts, okay? Now notice in here it says the wheat harvest, Pentecost. I want you to keep that in mind because we got an issue here. Okay, and I've talked about the secret of wheat. I'm going to write a book about it, the secret of the wheat. We have an issue here because this word Pentecost, the first time you see this is in Acts. But as you're going to see here in just a moment, there's no such word. And therefore is where confusion starts. So the correct word we're looking for is Feast of Weeks, also known as Shavuot. And that is going to fall a little bit further, folks. That's going to fall in the 4th month. Okay. And it's going to run that harvest because the Feast of Shavuot, which is a wheat harvest, which is celebrating the first fruits of the wheat harvest. And how do we do that? We're waving loaves of bread, not clutches of grain, right? So you have to have grain that you can dry, it's dried and can be made into flour and then made into bread, right? That harvest runs all the way until October, September. The wheat. That's another subject. I just want to get you to the 3rd month so you can see something, because something is about to happen at Sinai that's very significant. So remember that we're in the 3rd month. In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel gone forth out of the land of Egypt, so what it's saying, the same day came into the wilderness of Sinai. What is it saying? Anybody know? Even though it doesn't number it, what was the number when we left Egypt? What was the date? It was the 15th. So it says, when they gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. So it was the same. So month 3, day 15. Okay, everybody follow. Right, so day 3, month 3, day 15, they're moving into the wilderness of Sinai. So it's taking them 3 months to get to the bottom of Sinai at the foot of the mountain. Okay. Then Moses called the elders of the people and laid their faces all these words which Yah commanded. And all of the people answered together and said, all that Yah had spoken, okay. Let me just back up. So up here, Yah is talking to Moses, and he's making a deal with the people. Now, therefore, if you will obey my voice and keep my commandment, then ye shall be a particular treasure to me above all the people in the earth that is mine, and ye shall be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation of Israel. Right? So he's making a deal with them. And Moses came and called all the elders of the people and laid before their faces all the words which Yah had commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that Yah has spoken, we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto Yah, and Yah said unto Moses, lo, I have come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak unto thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto Yah. And the Adonai said unto Moses, go into the people and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and be steady against the 3rd day. All right. So what day is this? All right, so we got there on the 15th, right? The 16th is the first day of the work week. 3 days later, what day is that? Right? He says that he will come down in the sight of all the people from Mount Sinai and set the bounds unto the people round about, saying, take ye to yourself that ye go not up on the mount, nor touch the border in it. Whosoever touched the mount, so he's going to come down and he's going to give them some instructions. You don't touch the mountain, right? And it came to pass on the 3rd day in the morning, when the thunders and the lightnings and a thick cloud upon the mountain, and the voice of the trumpet exceeded loud, so that the people there was in the camp trembled. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with Yah, and they stood at the nether part of the mount. And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because Yah descended upon it in fire. And the smoke therefore ascended as smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded, and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and Yah answered him by a voice, and said, the Adonai came down upon the mountain. So Yah had actually come down on the mountain, and he personally is going to tell them what the 10 Commandments is and get them to keep them. All right. And on the top of the mountain, Yah called Moses up to the top of the mount, and Moses went up. And Yah said unto Moses, go down, charge the people, lest they break through unto Yah to gaze, and many of them perish. And let the priests also which come near to the Yah sanctify themselves, lest Yah break forth upon them. And Moses said unto Yah, the people cannot come up to Mount Sinai, for thou chargest us, saying, set bounds about the mountain and sanctify it. And Yah said unto him, away, get thee down, and thou shalt come up, and Aaron with thee, but lest not the priests and the people break through and come up unto Yah, lest he break forth upon them. So Moses went down and spoke to the people. All right. And then there's a total of 8 times that Moses goes up. All right. So here is the words. Notice it says words, and Yah spoke all these words, saying, he spoke them. They don't have, in other words, the tablets have not come down yet, folks. This is when Yah gives the 10 Commandments. So this is the oral. He spoke these words to the people. It's the oral law that he has given them, the 10 Commandments. I am Yah thy Elohim, which have brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee graven images of any likeness. So he gives them the 10 Commandments, folks. Remember the Sabbath, keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do no work, but on the 7th day is the Sabbath. Okay? The 7th day of the week, not the 7th day of the month. Month and week are 2 different things. Okay? Honor thy mother and father. Gives them the 10 Commandments. And all the people saw the thunderings and lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood far off. And Moses said, and they said unto Moses, speak thou with us, and we will hear, but let not Yah speak with us, lest we die. Right? So Yah is he's setting up the standards. Idolatry is forbidden, right? So this is part of the 10 Commandments. Let's go into the next chapter. Folks, I apologize. I'm trying to get through this because I want you to see something. Okay, so he goes through the laws of the servants, the personal injury laws, laws about restitution, property laws. This is Moses up on the mountain. All right, so he's already given them the oral 10 Commandments. Now Moses is up there, and all of this is being. This is the statutes, the everything that he's given them, right? And not all of these apply to you, by the way. Some only apply to certain people. Some only apply to women. Some only apply to priests, right? Going into details about the 10 Commandments, he eventually comes to the sabbatical laws, the Sabbath laws, and reiterates this 6 years. And he start talking about the yearly Sabbaths, right? Yearly Sabbath, yearly Sabbaths called Shemitas. But also on top of that would be jubilees. He's given them this 3 yearly feasts, right? 3 times a year shall you keep a feast unto me in the year. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, I command thee, in the appointed time of the month Abib, which is the first month. For thou camest out of Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. And the feast of harvest, the first fruits of thy labor, which thou had sown in the field, the feast of the ingathering. So, we need to understand what he's talking about here. The feast of the harvest, the first fruits of thy labor. So that would be the first fruits of the barley harvest and the first fruits of the wheat harvest. And the end of the wheat harvest is called the feast of the ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in the labors out of the field. 3 times a year, all the males shall appear before Yah. Folks, you can go see what the Feast of Ingathering is. That is the very end. That's Sukkot. And at the end of Sukkot is, when we're starting Sukkot, it is the end of the harvest. We've already got all the grapes. We've got all the olives. All the wheat is completely done. And matter of fact, we're getting ready for the next planting season where we start planting barley and then wheat again. Okay, the season is about to start over again. All right. which is at the end of the year, the agricultural year, when thou hast gathered in all the labors of the field. 3 times a year, and all thy males shall appear before Yah. Okay. And then he sends an angel out with them to lead them, right? And they're going to go fight against giants. The covenant is sealed. Okay. Moses goes back up on the mountain, and he's going to give them the tables of the stone and the law, the commandments which he's written, that they may teach them, right? So now it's on stones. And look at this. Moses was on the mount 40 days and 40 nights. Now that's important because we're timing something here. When he comes back down, that's very important. Okay. Now, incidentally, I believe the first time he came down and gave the oral 10 commandments is the day that Christians call Pentecost, which is a count of 50. Okay. But when he goes back up and comes down with the tables, it's another 40 days. Okay. Stay with me. So there's offerings up for the tabernacle. He's establishing all of this, right? Everything, the Ark of the Covenant, the mercy seat, the table of showbread, the golden lampstand, all this is all the priestly stuff, the curtains of the tabernacle, the curtains with goat's hair, the boards and sockets. All this is about building the tabernacle. The ark, the curtain for the door, is a reason why I'm just blowing through it, folks. Okay. The courtyard, he's laying all this out. Garments for the priest, the ephod is made, the breastplate, all this is done, the priestly garments. This is part of him going up on the mountain. Consecration of the priest, okay? Order of the sacrifices. A lot of details that he's given, the daily offerings, right? Altar of incense, the atonement money, the bronze basin, the anointing oil, the incense, it's all covered, okay? Exodus 31. And then we get about right here. And then Yah spoke unto Moses, saying, speaking also the children of Israel, saying, verily, my Sabbath shall ye keep, for it is a sign between you and me throughout all your generations, that ye shall know that I am Yah that do sanctify you. Ye shall keep my Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy, every one, for it is holy unto you, every one that defileth shall surely be put to death. Whosoever doeth any work therein, the soul shall be cut off from among his people. 6 days may be done, but the 7th is a Sabbath rest, holy unto Yah. Whoever doth any work in the 7th day, he shall be put to death. Therefore, wherefore the children of Israel keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout their generations, for a perpetual covenant. This is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. 6 days. And this is the pattern that he's establishing off of from creation. For 6 days Yah made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day he rested. Now, folks, this was not 6 man days. A day for Yah is 1,000 years. So it is a pattern. Okay. Otherwise, he is establishing up a 1,000-year week. Okay. Or 7,000-year week. So he did this in 7,000 years. 1 day is 1,000 years in heaven. So 6,000 years he made heaven and earth, and on the 7,000th year he rested and was refreshed. Okay, that's different from us. That's the pattern, but it's scalable. It's scaled down to the week and not thousands of years. Understand that. So Moses gets the tablets of stone. Exodus 31. Right? 40 days and 40 nights we're up there. So for 40 days, right? The timing of this is really interesting. The golden calf. So when he's ready to come down, they're worshiping the golden calf, right? You can see that. Yah is upset with them. He descends with the tablets. Moses turned and went down from the mount with 2 tablets of testimony in his hand, and the tablets were written on both sides, right? Moses breaks the tablets, right? Moses intercedes for Israel, but he goes back up on the mountain. Right? The tablets are replaced by Exodus 34. So he's gone up for 40 days. So at 3 months, he goes up for another 40 days. So we are well into when he comes back down again. Let's take a look at that on the calendar. So on this calendar that's overlaid with Gregorian, right? So at month 3, he's going back up on and a lot happens. He goes up, Yah gives him the oral tradition. Moses goes up, gets the law. He's up there for 40 days. Okay. He's getting the law. He comes back down, smashes, he goes back up. So he's well into Av and Elul. When he comes back down again, we are in around Tishri, Sukkot time. Excuse me. Let me back up. I'm getting ahead of myself. This is the end of the wheat harvest. I'm confusing the two. When he comes back down, it's around here. And I believe this is the Shavuot time. Okay, around 4th, 5th month. Probably toward the end of the 5th, into July, is when Shavuot or Feast of Weeks in. Okay, keep that in mind. I'm going to show you the renewed covenant. Track with me here. And he said, behold, I make a new covenant. I make a covenant before all thy people. I will do marvels such as not have been done in the earth, nor any nation, and all the people among you shall, when thou shall see the work of Yah, for it is a terrible thing that I will do with thee. Observe thou that which I command thee this day. Behold, I will drive out from thee, before thee, the Amorite, the Canaanite. This is all the giants that they are fighting. Look at this. He starts going into the feast of unleavened bread. Thou shalt keep 7 days. Thou shalt eat unleavened bread, as I commanded thee, in the time of the month of Abib. He's reiterating again. For in the month of Abib that came out of Egypt, all that openeth the matrix is mine, and every firstling among the cattle, whether ox or sheep, that is male. But the first of an ass thou shalt redeem with the lamb. And if thou redeem him not, then thou shalt break his neck, and all the firstborn of thy sons shall be redeemed, and none shall appear before me empty. 6 days thou shalt work, but on the 7th day thou shalt rest. In earing time and in harvest shall rest, and shall observe the Feast of Weeks, the first fruit of the wheat harvest. We're talking about Shavuot, and we're about 4 months in by this point that he's saying this, folks. And the Feast of Ingathering, he's mentioning this, which is going to be given to us in Leviticus in the recording of the law. The Feast of Ingathering is Sukkot. So the first fruits of the wheat harvest, beginning of the wheat harvest. The wheat harvest runs all the way to Sukkot, folks. The Sukkot celebration is celebrating the wheat harvest. It's complete. The wheat, the grapes, the olives, all that's completed. Okay. At the year's end, thrice in a year shall all your men children appear before Yah your Elohim, the Elohim of Israel. For I will cast out all nations before thee and enlarge the borders. Neither shall be any man desire the land when thou shalt go up appear before Yah thy Elohim thrice a year. Thou shalt not offer blood of sacrifices with leaven, neither shall be sacrifices of the feast of Passover left unto the morning. The first fruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of Yah, and thou shalt not seeth the kid in the mother's milk. And Yah said unto Moses, write these words down. For after the tenure of these words, I made a covenant with thee in Israel. And there was with Yah 40 days and 40 nights, and he did neither eat or drink water. And he wrote upon the tables the covenant of the 10 commandments. Right. And it came to pass when Moses came down from Sinai with the two, this is the second time he comes down. Right. He's coming down. Look what happens on the next chapter. Talking about the Sabbath again. Why would it be a Sabbath? I believe when he comes down this time, the second time with the tablets, and because he was just mentioning the feast of first fruits of the wheat harvest, Shavuot, or the Feast of Weeks, that's when he come down. And this is what it says. And Moses gathered all the congregation of the children of Israel together and said unto them, these are the words which Yah commanded that ye should do them. 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day shall be a holy day, a Sabbath rest to the Adonai. Whosoever doth work therein shall be put to death. Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitation upon the Sabbath day. And then it goes into some more the priestly and tabernacle stuff there. But we have just gone all the way up, I believe, to the time of the very first Shavuot in those chapters that I just read to you, folks. If you track those days and look at them, they do coincide with this pattern right here. Now, we know from Jubilees that if you do not observe the new moon day correctly, you're going to go off when it comes to the feast and through the years. It clearly says that, acknowledging the fact that that's what they were doing. They were keeping it according to the sun, moon, and stars. To say that Jubilee 6 says that we should not keep it according is ridiculous. It's absurd. That is not what Jubilee 6 says. So please, folks, stop using Jubilee 6 as a reason why not to. It's telling you if you do it wrong, you're going to mess up. So what's the thing? Not to do it? Not to keep the Sabbath and the feast according to what Yah has commanded? No. He says if you're going to do it, you better do it correctly or you're going to get off. And the way to do it correctly is what? Keep his commandments. I just read to you everything for the stuff other than what I blew through. These are all commandments on how to keep the calendar. And you can clearly see, I hope you can, that Yah is synchronizing the children of Israel, folks. Every day that Sabbath is mentioned, and by the way, the new moon is mentioned. It's either the 8, 15, 22, or 29. Nowhere in the scriptures do you see anywhere where it says keep working for 6 days, resting on the seventh. Does it tell you that it's a Saturday? That's a Gregorian and Julian word. Has nothing to do with the holy calendar of the Bible. Okay, so like I said, folks, I'm going down this rabbit hole with the Zadok calendar. And considering all the data, deconstructing the Zadok calendar. That's the way to get to the bottom of it. If I want to know how this phone works, right, or anything works, you take it apart, you deconstruct, and you learn about each part. And then you put it back together. That's what I'm doing with the Zadok calendar. I'm taking it apart, putting it back together, and trying to understand why many of you say it is the calendar of the Bible, even though there's no verses that support it. So there will be more videos, folks. I wanted to get this one out covering the Shabbat and how the calendar is actually laid out in Exodus. And, for those that are, I got people that are interested in other things other than the Zadok calendar. Those that really want to be on the calendar of the Bible, that are interested in how to keep it, I got to keep them in mind too, you guys. So I'll be up in Perry, North Florida, with the Sabbath Day community on the 12th for Passover. And then We'll probably be there for a few days, you guys, before I come back to Miami. So if you would like to go and there's going to be speakers. I'm one of them. There's going to be a few others. If you'd like to come and learn with us and fellowship with us and have Passover and first fruits and unleavened bread, we're going to be there. You can message me or you can message the Seventh Day community and Facebook as the lunar solar observes. Sister Barbara. Just message and we'll let you know what, where, and what, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what I got for you on this particular video, you guys. Very important subject. We're supposed to keep this through all of our generations. This is not just for Jews. This is for Israel, and I believe that Christians are part of Israel, grafted in. It is what it is. We're supposed to keep the Sabbath and the feast. That's what's important. So I hope you got something out of this. I hope you learned something out of this. We will continue down this road and continue to teach this. Like I said, we just scratched the surface. This is just the first part of it. We didn't even go into what's in Leviticus, how it's laid out, how to observe. None of that. I just showed you from Exodus to Sinai that we can find the calendar right there. But if we considered all the other stuff that I left out in this video, it's overkill. It's overkill. All in one book, the Bible. Didn't one time I had to go to Jubilees or Enoch or speculation about Dead Sea Scroll fragments. Not one time. And we can see the calendar. So I hope you can too. May Yah bless you and keep you. May you open your eyes to this and help you understand. That's my prayer for you. I love you. Yah loves you. Yeshua gave his life for you. We'll see you in the next video.